So, welcome to my low EMF journey series, which will be a compilation of videos of me just documenting my journey really of going low EMF, or aiming for, the goal is near zero. But example, right now I'm in a very specific location that's not away from civilization, but it just happens to be a very rare spot that is near zero EMF. However, I love technology. I love the modern world and all the conveniences and luxuries that comes with a lot of it, including the little Osmo gimbal and the wireless technology that I'm using right now. However, I've come to realize, and is the reason for my low EMF journey and goal to go near zero EMF, is I've come to realize for myself, the lower my exposure to electromagnetic fields, right, the crappy, the junk, the artificial kind that man has created and put in the form of high voltage electricity or super high frequency wireless technology, the lower my exposure is to all of that, the better I feel and the better I keep feeling. I mean, my exposure used to be at a certain level, and then I reduced like 95% of that, which is obviously, a majority, a massive chunk of it. And then I thought, wow, this has been life-changing for me, right? I'm not saying everyone is as hypersensitive as I am. That is essentially the term that is coined for anyone that is absolutely confident that they're affected, like myself. And I'm sure there are many of you out there, and most likely probably the only people watching this video and will continue to watch this series, because I would love to watch a video like this and a series of videos to see what other people are doing. The analogy I use is, imagine finding a tap coming out of the ground just pouring out money. Like, when would you turn it off? We all need money. Just like we all need money, we all need clarity, we all need energy, we all need focus to do life. All right? The more of all of that we have, the better we feel, the better we function, the better life is in general. I mean, even if you had all the money in the world, I could just about guarantee everyone would agree that if you don't have your health, that could come in the form of focus and energy. If you don't have those things, the only goal that you have is to get that health back. You'd probably trade all the money in the world and start from scratch, because you could do anything with an abundance of focus, energy, and health. And that's essentially what I've discovered. And ironically, in a world, or at least the world that I've grown up in, full of all of this EMF emitting technology, and it doesn't really seem like it's slowing down at all, which is why I've intentionally created a life where, regarding EMF, I'm taking action to slow it down, right? I don't want to slow down. I want all the energy. I want to, achieve and go after success in, mouthfuls, and I want it all as well. But for some reason, I've just found that my exposure dramatically impacts my health negatively. So yeah, this is my journey, and I really just want to get you up to speed to where everything is at. I wish I documented the whole journey so far, but to be honest, when you get into this type of thing, the whole electromagnetic field and EMF space, it's a bit of a taboo and controversial one. So back when I started it, I honestly thought I was losing my mind, because I thought that this was a topic, this is me being honest, I thought it was a topic for the tinfoil hat wearing paranoid hippies out there, and I didn't want to, be in that bunch. I've always been someone that's spiritual and left field, and, I do things like out of the norm. But then I really thought, maybe it was my ignorance, to be totally honest. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't want to imagine that this could actually have a negative impact on me, because I love my technology. Like I said, I love the conveniences and luxuries of the modern world. And maybe it's because, I jump to conclusions to think maybe if I think that EMF's bad and everything emits EMF, I will have to be without all the things that I love. And I've come to realize, through a lot of trial and error, and I guess, figuring it out the hard way, that you can kind of have both, right? Kind of like that saying, you can have your cake and eat it too, or you can't have your cake and eat it too. There are definitely ways, right? You can't have it all. I'm saying that. For example, I'm just sussing out, behind me, I'm like, is there a fucking snake? If I get bitten and this is on camera, well, at least it's on camera, right? That'd make for good viewing, unless I don't make it to the hospital. Everything's crumply right now because it's really dry, so there could be just a leaf blowing in the wind, but I'm thinking, oh my god, is that a snake? Good old subconscious, good stuff. So look, my journey so far, I just want to get you up to speed, and then we can kind of take off the series from everything else that follows from where I'm at right now. So let's do it. I'll try to hit this in 5 minutes to get you up to speed. From me, going from the person that thought this topic was for the tinfoil hat wearing paranoid hippies and wanted nothing to do with it because I didn't want to be without all of the luxuries and conveniences of the modern world and all the cool tech, all the way to me right now, I'll get you, in a nutshell, is I will be living off-grid out of a caravan, which is going to be really, really interesting. And I'll explain why, and I'll get you up to speed. But I didn't want to go straight to here. For one, I didn't realize all the benefits that could come from this scenario that ticks so many boxes, right? I didn't realize. And I had to really go down the rabbit hole. And this is what I do for work now. This is, my livelihood. I'm building a business from it. I definitely build businesses with things that I truly, truly believe in. I can't work for starters, I've always been an entrepreneur, but I can't work for someone, especially when, I don't know if it's entrepreneurial blood, but I feel like if there's a better way to do something and the bosses don't listen, it annoys me. So I just want to do it myself. I guess that's entrepreneur DNA in a nutshell, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I was living in a house without knowing it. That was right next to a tower, cell tower, and this is all looking back in hindsight, tracing back my steps and realizing just the carnage my mind and body was going through without realizing it, thinking I've always been someone that's obsessed and passionate about health and fitness, and I'll try everything, all the fundamentals like nutrition, movement, breathing techniques, mindful techniques, staying hydrated. I've been in the health and fitness industry for over a decade professionally, and even longer than that as someone that's just an enthusiast has always held health and fitness in high regard for obvious reasons. All that is to say that this is super important to me, and the whole EMF thing is right up there. And now I've come to realize that this is a topic that really needs a lot more light for a lot of people. All right, again, not everyone's going to be hypersensitive like I am, but this is an important topic, and it's why I've started it as a brand. I want to, get the message out there for anyone that is maybe doing all the things that I did, is also equally or maybe more obsessed and passionate about health and fitness, and is trying all the things. Ironically, I feel like those are without blowing smoke up my backside or sounding egotistical, I feel like those are usually the types of people that think a lot quicker. They're a lot more intelligent, and ironically, the more intelligent you are, sometimes the more stressed you are, because you know so much and you think so much. So it's such a backwards, ironic paradigm to be in. But that being said, if you're watching this, you're most likely that type of person. And you've probably tried a boatload of stuff, everything to do with nutrition, maybe carnivore, veganism, this diet, that diet, this type of movement, that type of movement, these therapies, these other health modalities, You've probably tried an absolute plethora of things, and yet you may have almost like a guiding star of, you know, a group of symptoms that you may have had a label to. All right, for instance, in my situation, it's always been OCD and ADHD, and only just recently realized that apparently I'm on the spectrum for autism. That's interesting. Apparently high functioning. I don't know. Do you even know if like you're the person going through it, or maybe I don't know. Anyway, OCD has been probably the main pillar, the main thing. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Sometimes I feel like I'm a prisoner of my own mind. I know like a lot of people feel like that, but man, some days can be, without exaggerating, torture. Like torture. And why this topic has been so life-changing for me is because the exposure level of EMF is now, for me, I've realized, directly correlated to the severity of my symptoms. It is that obvious to me. I've come to realize that as soon as I feel the, OCD symptoms, like they vary from day to day, but OCD in a nutshell, right? Obsessive compulsive disorder. The obsessions is usually thought patterns that come up and they don't go away, right? So a thought is constructed, which could be irrational, varying degrees. But the more severe it is, the more irrational it is, the more I think, or now I've come to realize, is I am around EMF right now. All I need to do is look up and I'll see either I'm close to power lines, I'm near a cell tower, someone is close to me that is using their phone. It is that obvious, right? And the way that I've been dealing and managing with these symptoms of OCD is naturally, right, the pattern is the obsessive thought that the person doesn't want, and then it's followed up by a compulsion that the person, ironically, has made up themselves to almost sedate the emotion. And I say sedate because the obsessive thought will come back. You're only momentarily or temporarily pushing it aside for now, right? The fact that you actually think that, let's say, tapping your foot, counting to 5, doing this little ritual is going to alleviate, or let's say, I'll give you an example. I don't know, I'm walking over something and there's a hole in the ground, and my mind tells me if you don't step over the hole, one of your family members is going to die. All right? To you, it's like, that's a little silly, isn't it? But I tell you what, the feelings, the emotions make it feel so real. So the compulsion is, of course, like the effort of stepping over that hole is nothing compared to losing a family member. So I'll just do it. But ironically, once you do that, you actually cement the pattern. So the obsessive thought will just come back, and your mind's like, well, we saved a family member by letting you know about that hole. How about we do it again? Now you got to step over that stick. Now it's never ending, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I digress, and sorry for the rambling, but that was all to say that my symptoms just are dramatically exacerbated around EMFs, which has been life-changing. But at the same time, in a modern world with the way that society is in general with technology, and I guess they're, in a nutshell, ignorance to EMFs. Maybe it's not even ignorance. I mean, I was once ignorant, and I didn't want to believe, even if someone knocked on my door telling me about it. And I think that's the boat that a lot of people are in. Anyway, so I discovered this. So cell tower, I actually moved out of that home. Didn't move out because of EMFs. The following house, I realized there was no cell tower, so radio frequencies were good. By the way, EMFs are not just one thing. A lot of the videos you see out there when they talk about EMF, it's almost as if they're talking about just one thing. But EMF is quite broad. It's on a spectrum. There's multiple components of the EMF spectrum. For example, electric fields. It could be high and low, high frequency electric fields. Things like radio frequencies that transmit signals to and from your phone to make calls, stream videos, do whatever you need to do. And then the low frequency electric fields could be coming from electrical wiring, things that are powering your home and appliances. And then the magnetic field is a result of the passing or moving electricity. Anyway, so I won't go into detail about that, but there are multiple components. And I essentially moved house, and I realized that, I almost, without knowing it, traded high radio frequencies for high electric fields. And some people in some houses, without even knowing it, their houses could be, high in all of the fields, which I can't even imagine. I probably would implode. But then I discovered EMFs and went down that rabbit hole because my health took a nosedive in 23. So 2023, didn't know what was going on. And that was at a time when I thought I was doing my best, and all of a sudden my testosterone went through the floor, my hormones went out of whack, my energy plummeted. My daughter was like 2 years old at the time. I couldn't even jump on a trampoline with her. I'd just get exhausted after 5 minutes. It was nuts. It was so annoying and frustrating. And a customer of a company that I was running, still running now, asked me about EMF levels coming from a particular product that we sold. And I thought, that's interesting. It's that topic that I just threw in the back burner and I didn't want anything to do with. So then I got, an Amazon Best Buy EMF meter. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, or didn't know what it was all about. Just got a meter, looked up some regulations, guidelines, I've recommended this, the heat pad. I just made a video and I recorded it. I didn't know what I was recording. I just showed my customers. That's the way I like it, complete transparency and honesty. And even on the video, I'm like, I don't know what these are, but just in case any of you do, these are the levels. And I found that, it's a USB plug-in type item. The levels were a lot lower, plugging it into a battery pack. Same function, but different EMFs. Now, looking back in hindsight, that was almost like a hint to the direction that I was going in for this low EMF lifestyle. But I didn't know back then because I knew like nothing about EMFs, how they came about, how to lower them, mitigation strategies, all that. And so I went around my house with this meter and I thought, this is probably a piece of junk. Maybe the readings are completely off. Maybe they're giving me inaccurate readings, who knows? But I compared that to the guidelines or some regulations that I found and recommendations from the government. Believe it or not, they have some. And even a lot of EMF experts and a lot of specialists out there think that the regulations where they are, they're just way too high. They should come way down. And even that, my house was exceeding that, specifically electric fields. And my body skin voltage anywhere in my house was just at least 1 to 2 volts, some areas 3 to 4 volts, low amperage. But again, guys, we're electrical beings. We operate on tiny electricity, tiny electric pulses. That's direct current, not alternating either, and that's just a different conversation altogether. If we're one big direct current flowing nice and smoothly, alternating current, which is great for long range transmission of power to power your home, is almost it's oscillating, it's vibrating, and it's such a pace that it's not really great for our biology, or at least it's not great for mine because I feel like shit around it. And I think there's something to be said about that. But anyway, long story short, I realized that my house was just crazy high. And I thought, imagine if this was one of the reasons that my health took a nosedive. It's not going to be the only reason. And I'm not saying that, EMF is the single culprit in anything that you're going through right now, but it definitely doesn't help. And I've also come to realize that I can have all the stuff that I want, the conveniences and luxuries of the modern world, but be very conscious about the EMF exposure that I am around and I'm exposed to. And as a result, me having less exposure makes me feel better, all while having the gear. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? That's essentially the point I want to make, and is the reason that I wanted to start this brand. I wanted to show people that you can do both. You can be protected, get the health benefits of low EMF exposure, but also stay connected to all the things that you love. I mean, yeah, sure, there are some sacrifices and maybe some inconveniences, but for the trade of everything that I've mentioned so far, and for me, it's no question, right? I think how worth it it's going to be is going to vary between person to person, but for me, no question. Anyway, so I moved out of that house into a house. I was that crazy person with all my EMF meters. By the way, I definitely upgraded before moving house to a very expensive meter, pretty much like top tier, professional grade, what technicians and specialists use all around the world, the NFA 1000. It's in the car now. And I obviously wanted to make sure that like these levels were correct before moving the house because of this. Just essentially, I created a hypothesis. I wanted to see if lowering my exposure even more was going to benefit even more before taking things even further, right? Just test, trial, and see how I go. Anyway, so I moved. I happened to find a house. This is a very difficult feat. I've come to realize that majority of houses, the exposure is crazy. It might be, radio frequencies, electric fields, magnetic fields, dirty electricity. The list goes on to, what could be high or low, some all high, some one component high. And then I happened to find a house down in Rye, so like the very bottom of the state that I live in. And electric fields, great. Dirty electricity, not too bad. Radio frequencies, good. But then I didn't realize, again, I didn't know what I didn't know back then. Still learning now, which is why I want to document my journey. Is there was a power line at the front of my house, and when I took the reading was really low, right? But I, weirdly enough, didn't think back then that if there is more activity in the street, right, magnetic fields are a result of moving electricity or electricity in motion or being used by the grid. So more pull on the grid, higher the field from whatever magnetic field or source you are closest to, example, power line. I came to realize that these magnetic fields were constantly fluctuating. See, like electric fields, say in a house, they could stay very consistent. Same with dirty electricity. I mean, if you use more things that down or up regulate your electricity or pressure, it could vary. So I'm just waiting for this dust to cover me. I don't know if you can see all that dust in the video. You can obviously tell that I'm in a very unique spot of low EMF because there's a dirt road. That's kind of what it takes. So yeah, I didn't realize that if more of the street used electricity, and down in this area that I'm at, majority of the houses are Airbnbs, right? So the whole street is not being used, which is why the reading was so low at the time I rented the property. Then came summer, which was interesting. At this point, it's one of the most popular locations at the bottom of Victoria, and so more Airbnbs are being used. So naturally, the magnetic fields in my house increased, and I was faced with all the same symptoms. So while the move initially was amazing, life-changing, that is essentially, I guess, one of the biggest, most evident tests that I made by moving house, changing cars even. I felt tremendously better. One of the coolest symptoms I found, especially being in the space with the company that I still run now, Total Man Coaching, which is a men's sex health business, is obviously my hormones came back because my libido went through the roof, which is a definite sign. Like nothing else really changed except me moving house and changing car. And it's almost as if my biology, my nervous system was under so much stress from the external, extrinsic EMFs that like my body almost was in like a fight or flight state all the time. And if your body's in a fight or flight state, your subconscious or your body just thinks this isn't the time to procreate. So why would it give you the resources, aka blood flow, to down there? Or even the motivation to chase any reason to use down there. So totally made sense. So less stress on my nervous system, less of a fight or flight, and increased libido. I went. So it all made sense. And then I came to realize, came summertime, all the symptoms started coming back. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Did more readings, and then the magnetic fields. So now I'm in the process of moving out of there. And what I've come to find is that this is the part that's, I guess, is going to be really difficult for anyone to hear that is following along with this journey, is that it is near impossible to find a house that is fantastic. And I'd like to create a criteria. I don't just want to leave you hanging, just to give you like a story of doom and gloom for you. And I don't want you to think that you have to go off grid or live out of a caravan like I will be very soon. Because there are definitely ways, and I've discovered these with a lot of trial and error. And I've spent a lot of money, a lot of time experimenting, not out of just simple desires, out of necessity, because how it feels for me, like it is just priority number one. Like some of my symptoms, like I have mentioned, some days can be torture. And I don't say that to sound like I'm accidentally exaggerating. Like it gets pretty bad, which is kind of cool in another sense, because like how many people go through life and they just try a bunch of things trying to tackle this issue that they're going through mentally, emotionally, physically, and they don't find anything. They just go from one thing to the next. And I just feel so blessed that I've been able to find this thing, which, I mean, yeah. So I'm now taking measures that for most people would probably seem extreme, and I just hope that most people aren't hypersensitive like I am, maybe just sensitive, and they get many benefits, maybe not all the benefits like I do. So right now where I'm at, like just sitting in this spot right now, touching the ground, I feel fucking great. So where am I? I happen to be in a location. So living out of a caravan is interesting, right? Because if you don't have a home, where are you going to park it? And you can't stay at campsites or RV parks. They're either too close to all the electricity, maybe cell towers. Most free sites, you can't stay for longer than 30 days. So what I've done, or I've come to do, is doing letterbox drops. This is what a lot of people with tiny homes do, or they get tiny homes. They do letterbox drops, reach out on Facebook groups and forums and other places online to see if anyone is willing to lease a bit of their land for them to stay for longer than 3 months or so. And yeah, so I've gone around, started with the car and realized how long it takes doing letterbox drops. Stopping the car, jumping out, letterbox, back in. Ended up jumping on a bike and doing that. No wonder posties do that. But I ended up handing out about 400 to 500 flyers and got a response of 4 different people. So right now I'm at a property that is the best location so far. It is like really good distance from where I need it to be, close to my daughter, close to other family and friends. And this is regarding low EMF, just as like a foundation. It's perfect to have a low EMF and off-grid setup. So I'll show you. Whether or not we go through with this straight away, I'm not 100% sure. It just seems like wilderness, which is great for me. So dirt road. I mean, you can hear some cars in the distance. Great views. And like I mentioned, it's not completely away from civilization, but somewhere around here. I mean, the owner of this property, I think anyone that wants to do this, I think you'll come to realize like how willing people are, how generous people are with their time. Some people probably don't want to borrow you, but yeah, getting closer to the snakes if there are any in these bushes. So this guy, I think he wanted to do it anyway, but he's like, I've got the Bobcat, I've got all the equipment we need to build a driveway, so you have like your own entrance you can go in and out of. Not everyone has been like that, I will be honest. But yeah, I've offered them a certain amount, even up front. I've even offered some physical labor hours, since I love functional training and being on a farm. They might need some help with either animals or some other work around the place, which I'm more than willing to do anyway, because I love functional training. So if I'm spending 5 to 10 hours a week of functional training and I get to do it with a purpose and benefiting someone else, plus it means I get to stay in this location, awesome, right? Win-win for everyone, wins all around. So this is pretty much where I'm at, and I guess the next lot of videos is really just going to be about the journey. I'm really excited. This has been a very interesting transition. I will be honest, when I was doing my letterbox drops just days ago, I was on a bike for like almost 3 days straight. My ass was killing me, I tell you. But yeah, I was just pumping out those flyers, getting them out, and I wasn't really getting any responses. And yeah, I guess I went through like a lot of self-reflection, and by the end of the 3 days, I actually started feeling a lot of shame and confusion, thinking like, what am I doing? Like, this is so far outside of, I guess, what is considered by societal standards normal. I've never been someone that's normal, by the way, so I always come back to that and I realize that, Mike, you've never been normal, so who gives a shit? I've been doing that my whole life, so yeah, but that feeling came about anyway, just that feeling of shame, and especially like I have a daughter that's 3, almost 4, and I guess just like the idea of living out of a caravan instead of a home, and it's literally not even like I can't afford living out or renting a property. I don't own a home right now. I run one main company, right? That's essentially what is fueling everything right now. The new brand, the former company or the current company is Total Man Coaching, and I've been running that for over 6 years, about 7 years now, and almost 8 actually. And the new brand is True Earthing, all right? So all around EMF awareness and mitigation. And I could just go to another rental property, but right now, again, they're so hard to find with the criteria that I'm looking for. And again, like, this criteria is pretty extreme, most would consider. But again, like I said, the benefits just seem to be endless for me. The further I go into this, the harder I pull on that string, the lower my exposure, the better I feel. And I've finally come to realize that campers and caravanners have been doing a low EMF lifestyle for a very long time. Most of the gear runs off 12 volts relative to 240 volts here in Australia, or 120 volts or around that wherever you are in the world. Is a big difference, right? And in electrical terms, that's pressure. Right, so 12 volts is a lot lower in pressure. Massive potential of amps, which is the amount of flow. I won't go into too much detail, but long story short, a battery, by the way, is also direct current, which is a lot closer to our electrical workings, let's say, versus alternating current. The only reason there is alternating current that is going back and forth, essentially just this electricity that's jiggling, is so that they can push the electricity great distances with transmission lines and power lines. But then by the time it gets to your home, everything is still operating on an alternating current. So still that reverberating, which is not great, I've come to learn for our biology. But I've also come to realize that out of a caravan, most of it is all running off, lithium-ion batteries, lead batteries, deep cycle batteries, whatever. And most of the time, it's 12 to 24 volts. Very low pressure relative to what's in your house, and most houses and commercial real estate. And you still have everything that you need: lights, most appliances. And unless you need some other high power stuff, you might get an inverter. But those things, maybe like a toaster or a microwave, it's very temporary. So in many ways, you're unnecessarily exposing yourself to these reverberating, alternating current, electric and magnetic fields for no reason. I mean, you use or need that power for very small instances in the day, but then for majority of the rest of the day, you could be operating or using very, very, very low fields, and as a result, the EMF or the artificial EMF exposure is dramatically lower. So I'll cover that in many videos to come, but I just want to give you all the context and get you up to speed to where I'm at right now. So my caravan will be completely off grid. The power that I need, everything runs off 12 volt batteries, they get recharged by solar. So I'll have 3 massive solar panels that might be supplemented with a bit of cardio bike generator that I haven't got yet, but I'll keep you posted whether or not it's even worth getting. But I love my spin bike, and I thought if I could put my mountain bike on a generator that actually pumps more fuel into the batteries, maybe on the overcast days or the winter, when the solar is not charging the batteries back up as much, I'll keep you posted. All right, I'll let you know how all that goes. I just thought it was a fun way to generate my own power. Everything will be off grid, like I mentioned, so I won't be plugging into any utilities. I will bring like gas bottles to me. I'll bring all the water to me, because what I've come to also realize is you might not be using the electricity, but the pipes, most of the pipes, if they're made out of metal, whether it's gas or water, or have any type of conductive ability, right? Even if it is water in thick, very strong PVC, even concrete pipes, whatever material they use, water in of itself is conductive. So if there's a big, massive tunnel of water, pushing water into all the houses, and that is right next to power lines, for example, that whole thing is now lit up. All right, a lot less amperage. You're not going to electrocute yourself, but there is still transfer of EMFs. I even get agitation in the house that I'm in when I wash my dishes, because there happen to be stray currents, a topic I'll get to in another video. There are stray currents coming from the power line, or even underground power lines or power systems or the electrical grid, and going into my water system. So when I put my hand underneath water when I'm washing the dishes or whatever, my body voltage goes up massively, which is crazy, because I was washing the dishes and I started feeling agitated. And this was after all my mitigation. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized, the water, high voltage. High voltage relative to our low voltage biology. So I guess the next lot of videos is really going to be interesting. Maybe I'll give you a rundown of the Caravan that I have purchased right now. I have a deposit on it. I'll be getting it on finance, waiting for the company to call me back in regards to that. It is a very nice Caravan. It's brand new. It was an ex-demo that they spruced up to take around to shows and stuff. So it hasn't actually been utilized in a sense that people have taken it camping, but people have just gone through it just like a demo, just showing people what it's all about. But this thing's been spruced up. Price has been slashed, so it was a good find. The whole thing's rigged up, off grid, capable. So I mean, technically this isn't really off grid, but I won't be connected to directly connected to the grid of utilities like water, gas mains, and the electrical grid. So I'm disconnected, and I'm putting a gap between me and everything that I honestly think is polluted, for many reasons I won't get into in this video. But so in the videos to come, I'll show you my Caravan setup. I'll walk you through whether or not I go ahead with this bit of land that I found, which is an absolute gem. It's been a really cool find. A lot of effort has gone into finding it, coming up with the flyers, creating videos. I can even show you that if you like. Maybe I'll put a link to the video I created, just so you see what the people that got the flyer saw. Just a long video of me ranting on about my goal with this whole thing. This is that's the response that I got so far, and this is probably the best looking property so far, and I'll keep you posted. If you have any questions as well, please hit me up, because I'd love to share them. Maybe you're somewhere along a similar journey that I've been, and maybe you're stuck in a place that I was stuck, or maybe I didn't know something. I would have just loved videos like this. I would just, even if you get nothing from this video other than the fact that you now realize that there are other people going through this and are making changes, whether minor or major, to chase down and go after this low EMF lifestyle. We are out here. I'm here. I'm, again, taking things to what many would definitely consider extreme. But for me, I guess that's just me. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. And whether or not my daughter is hypersensitive like I am or not, I guess that shame component that started coming in was like, I guess it's really about what maybe other people would have thought of me living out of a caravan, but it's definitely not for the conventional reasons that I guess this is nothing against people who are living out of caravans for other reasons. Like everyone's in there, everyone's got something going on. If you need to live out of a caravan for financial reasons or other reasons, like, do the best with what you got. And maybe it's, not the conventional reasons or not the normal reasons that most people are living out of a caravan, but these are my reasons, and I think it's going to dramatically change my life. It already has, and I know with the utmost confidence. I do have my occasional bouts of doubt, but I guess, it's just going to be interesting going from like a house that's, I've got all the storage and capabilities and all that, and I'll get I can just get external storage, it doesn't all have to go in here with me. But I guess the component of having a daughter has just been interesting, because I've never really heard of anyone else that's living out of a caravan with a family. I mean, I've seen it online, but it's just, I guess, different when you're going through it, right? Just like many things, just like almost everything. You just don't know when you're going through it, and I guess I just wanted to be honest and say, man, is this the right move? But I really think it is, and if there is a lesson that I'm passing on to my daughter, it's just that if you have a gut feeling and you truly believe it, chase it, go after it. I really don't want to live a life where I regret something I never tried, because I mean, let's say this doesn't actually work out and the benefits aren't as great as I thought they would be. I could always just go back to a house, but I think I would definitely regret not at least trying it. And heck, I ended up with a caravan, which a great resale value, by the way, if push come to shove. Worst case scenario, the results weren't as great. But I do eventually want to live in a house again. But what I want to do is find land that is low EMF, and the criteria at the moment is quite stringent. It's quite strict. It's, got a lot. I essentially want to find a land that's not connected in any way. There's no, electrical ecosystem underneath the foundations. It's not near any power lines, no cell towers. It's just far away from everything, almost just like bushland, and then clear it and build my house from scratch and have it disconnected so the whole thing is off-grid. People have been doing this for a long time. It's not like off-grid is something new, but I guess this is my journey of finding like, holy crap, that off-grid is the way where it's at. That's the way I think many people need to live, and it's so possible. You don't need to be connected, because with it comes, I guess, conveniences, but a plethora of other crap, like the pollution that is leaking and bleeding into your environment. All right, your environment is everything. I truly believe that, because I guess your environment literally dictates your state. But anyway, this is a long video, and I'm slowly starting to get those weird thoughts come up, and I'm starting to slowly lose my train of thought, and I really think it's not because of the duration of the video, but this Bluetooth thing. This thing pumps out like massive fields. But great technology, right? I hope the audio's been good. Would not have been as good if I didn't use this little guy here. Thanks for watching, and just know, if you've watched this far, holy crap, thank you. And I really hope it's helped in some way or another. Just know you're not alone. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.